Okay, let's just dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are unpacking a literally epic moment of transition, resilience, and, well, exile. We're breaking down a massive shift in fortune for some of the most famous figures in ancient literature, the sons of Pandu. I mean, imagine going from the absolute heights of royal power, the pinnacle of civilization, to just wandering the wild woods, completely stripped of your kingdom. It is a huge narrative pivot, and the way it's described in our source text is incredibly rich with sensory details and profound spiritual meaning. So let's get right into the heart of this journey.
We kick things off right here with a heavy, undeniable decree from Yudhishthira himself. Quote, "We shall have to dwell in the solitary forest for these 12 years, right? This isn't just a casual weekend retreat. This is a profound, daunting exile. But notice how he actually handles it. As the virtuous son of Kunti, the text points out he is absolutely unwavering in his promises. There's no complaining, no plotting immediate revenge here. It's just stoic, absolute commitment to his word. He accepts this 12-year fate and instantly starts planning for their survival and really their spiritual growth.
So you might be wondering, what exactly is Yudhishthira looking for in a home for the next decade? Well, his criteria are surprisingly specific. He doesn't just want basic survival, he wants an ideal refuge. He commands his brothers to scour the mighty forest for a spot that is beautiful to behold, auspicious and teeming with birds, deer, flowers, and fruits. But, and this is absolutely crucial, it's not just about natural resources. It also has to be inhabited by virtuous persons, so they can, quote, dwell pleasantly. He's essentially looking for the perfect balance of physical sustenance and spiritual purity.
In response to this, Dhananjaya, who we all know as Arjuna, steps up, and he speaks to his brother with the kind of deep reverence you'd normally reserve for a spiritual master. Arjuna praises Yudhishthira, pointing out that his brother has always respectfully waited upon great and ancient rishis. He specifically names guys like Dwaitavana and Narada, ascetics of immense merit who literally travel from the world of the gods to the realm of Brahma, mingling with celestial beings like Gandharvas and Apsaras. Arjuna is basically saying, hey, you already know the minds of the greatest spiritual thinkers in the universe, so whatever you decide is best for us.
But, because Arjuna clearly recognizes Yudhishthira's wisdom, he humbly proposes a location that actually fits all those strict criteria perfectly. Enter Dwaitavana. This is going to be our primary setting for this entire journey. Arjuna describes it as a celebrated, massive lake full of sacred water, completely delightful to look at, surrounded by abundant flowers, and home to tons of different bird species. It perfectly hits the mark for Yudhishthira's requirements, and he agrees right away, proclaiming, "Let us go to that sacred and celebrated and large lake called Dwaitavana."
And just like that, the epic departure begins. But you have to understand, this is no ordinary retreat into the wilderness. When the virtuous son of Pandu leaves, it's a massive procession. He is accompanied by numerous Brahmanas. We are talking about hundreds of Mahatmas here, crowned with ascetic success and rigid vows. Some are sacrificing with fire, some without. It's this incredibly spiritually charged entourage moving together toward the sacred woods. They aren't just leaving civilization behind, you see. They are bringing the highest spiritual civilization right along with them.
Now, what's really fascinating about this procession is the presence of the Vanaprasthas. These are a very specific class of Brahmanas completely devoted to the study of the Vedas, who live purely upon alms in the forest. These guys aren't warriors, they aren't politicians. They are people entirely dedicated to spiritual study and ascetic living. And yet, they're choosing to walk right alongside the exiled kings, offering their presence, their wisdom, and their support. The source text sets up an absolutely incredible juxtaposition here. On one hand, you have the bulls of the Bharata race, these mighty, incredibly powerful sons of Pandu, royal kings arriving in their chariots and vehicles. And then on the other hand, right next to them, you have these virtuous men of sanctified souls who are clad simply in the bark of trees, wearing matted locks of hair. It is a stunning visual contrast. You literally have immense worldly power, completely submitting to and walking alongside profound spiritual humility. So, let's move into the next phase of the journey and see how this environment builds. As they finally arrive at the close of summer, the entire atmosphere completely shifts. We aren't looking at some barren, scary, or punishing wilderness here. Instead, what we discover is a vibrant, living refuge, fully ready to welcome them into their new reality. It's a forest that is just bursting with unparalleled life. The sheer diversity of Dwaitavana is honestly a bit overwhelming. The text surrounds us with endless flowering trees, salas, palms, mangoes, kadambas, arjunas, just stretching right up into the canopy. And above them, flocks of peacocks and kokalas are perched on the highest branches. And moving heavily beneath all of this foliage, mighty herds of gigantic elephants, accompanied by she-elephants. It really paints a picture of an ecosystem that is perfectly complete, untamed, and absolutely thriving. And the experience goes way beyond just what you can visually see. It's a true symphony of the senses. Those birds we mentioned, they aren't just sitting quietly, they are actively pouring forth what the text calls mellifluous notes. And those gigantic, hill-like elephants, they are in the intense season of rut, with temporal juice actually trickling down their faces. That is a clear sign of raw, untamed natural power. It's a super energetic, vivid description of nature in its full, unpolished glory. You can almost feel the humidity and hear the overwhelming sounds of the wildlife.
As they journey even deeper, approaching the beautiful Bhogavati, or the Saraswati River, the text elevates the moment with a truly grand metaphor. When Yudhishthira descends from his car with his brothers, his entry into the forest is directly compared to Indra, the god of immeasurable energy, entering heaven. I mean, stop and think about that for a second. Despite being exiles burdened with the massive loss of a kingdom, their arrival is framed not as a tragic defeat, but as a glorious, almost divine entrance into a secret realm.
This divine framing is instantly confirmed by their greeting party, a huge gathering of celestial sages. Crowds of wandering Charanas and Siddhas approach Yudhishthira, deeply eager to behold the monarch devoted to truth. The ascetic dwellers of the forest completely surround him, reverently calling him a lion among kings. They salute him exactly as a god or a king should be saluted, and he joins his hands to salute them right back. It really highlights this deep, shared, mutual respect between the sovereign of men and the sovereigns of the spirit.
But, even lions get tired. Eventually, the grand arrival settles down into a very human, very grounded moment of seeking rest. The illustrious chiefs of the Bharata race, Bhima, Dhananjaya, the twins, and Krishna, along with all their followers, are just thoroughly fatigued. They finally leave their vehicles behind. Yudhishthira sits down right in the midst of the ascetics at the foot of a mighty tree decked with flowers. It's this quiet, poignant scene, especially since the text specifically notes he sits down just like his father Pandu did in days past, beautifully linking this new exile back to his deep ancestral roots in the forest. And this brilliantly illustrates their new reality, captured perfectly in this one specific image. Quote, "That mighty tree bent down with the weight of creepers, with those 5 illustrious bowmen who had come there for rest sitting under it, looked like a mountain with huge elephants resting on its side. Wow, it is just such a majestic, peaceful, and grounded image. The mighty kings, these incredibly powerful bowmen who were just compared to gods a moment ago, are now simply part of the landscape, resting like great elephants against the steady, unmoving side of a mountain."
Which brings us to a final thought I want to leave you with today. If these mighty kings, figures literally compared to Indra and described as huge resting elephants, must eventually surrender their chariots, bow their heads to ascetics, and seek refuge in the stillness of nature, well, it makes you wonder about our own fast-paced lives, doesn't it? What parts of our own busy modern routines require our retreat into the solitary forest? Where do you go to find your own Dwaitavana, that perfect balance of natural beauty and spiritual quiet? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this epic journey leaves you with something truly powerful to reflect on.